Some silences are intentional. They don't happen by accident. They aren't the result of hesitation or confusion. They are chosen, quietly. At first, they feel controlled, measured, almost careful. The kind of silence that suggests awareness. The kind that looks like restraint from the outside. Nothing about it feels dramatic. There is no tension in the air, no urgency pressing forward. Just the sense that speaking would add nothing to what already exists. In those moments, silence feels precise, like a decision made without needing explanation. It sits comfortably in the space, unnoticed and unchallenged. The room continues as it always does. Voices move, time keeps its pace, and the silence fits so naturally that it feels like part of the design, not an absence, but a deliberate pause. That belongs exactly where it is, so the words stay where they are, unspoken. In those moments, silence feels like clarity, not because everything is understood, but because nothing needs to be explained. The room continues as it always does. People speak, movement fills the space, and the silence blends in. It doesn't interrupt. It doesn't draw attention. It fits. That's what makes it easy to keep. Intentional silence often feels like maturity, like knowing when not to participate, like recognizing that not every thought needs to be placed into the moment. There is comfort in that idea. It allows distance without absence, presence without exposure. You can stay where you are, without having to reveal anything. At least that's how it feels at first. But intentional silence has a subtle quality. It requires timing. The moment has to be open to it. The space has to allow it. Otherwise, silence stops being a choice and starts becoming something else. At some point, the room adjusts. Not abruptly, not deliberately. It simply learns how to move forward. Without waiting, conversation finds its rhythm. Voices overlap. Responses arrive on time. Everything works. And the silence remains unnoticed. That's when the difference begins. Intentional silence is light. It can be lifted, set down, but silence that stays too long starts to settle. It becomes heavier. Not because it demands attention, but because it no longer does. The moment no longer expects words from you. Not out of rejection, not out of exclusion, simply out of efficiency. The space has already reorganized itself. You are still there, still listening, still aligned with the surface of things, but the silence has changed its role. It is no longer expressive. It is structural. It holds the shape of the moment by not interfering with it. And that's when it becomes difficult to tell whether the silence is still intentional. Because lifting it now would feel disruptive. Speaking would feel late. Not wrong, just unnecessary. Like interrupting a thought that has already completed itself. So the silence stays. Not because it was chosen again, but because it was never challenged. This is how intentional silence can drift. Not suddenly, not noticeably. It doesn't announce the shift. One moment it is restraint. The next it is habit. The difference is subtle. Intentional silence leaves room behind it. Habitual silence does not. It fills the space quietly, until there is no opening left. And the longer it stays, the more natural it feels. The world doesn't resist it. It adapts. Conversations continue. Decisions are made. Moments pass. Nothing breaks. That's what makes it easy to miss. Because when silence becomes invisible, it stops being questioned. It no longer feels like a choice. It feels like the default. Some silences are intentional. They protect the moment. They allow it to breathe. They prevent unnecessary noise from entering a space that already knows where it is going. But some silences remain longer than they were meant to. They outlive their purpose. And by the time you notice, the moment has already moved on. There is no clear point where the silence should have ended. No signal that it was time to speak. Only the quiet realization that the opportunity has passed. And you are left wondering whether the silence still belongs to you or whether it has already been absorbed into the structure of the room. Some silences are intentional. Others begin that way and quietly become something else. And the difference is not always clear until it's too late to tell.